Hi again. I thought I'd do a little update on the table saws.
Well, the Busy Bee is still in pieces here. I still haven't received the new arbor and bearings. I might actually have to call them again and see what happened to that order.
So in the meantime, I've still got a few things to do. I've got a lot happening lately, and that's the reason why this video is a little bit late. My shop is in a real big mess, and I really haven't been doing much out here lately because these saws are pretty much taking up all the space, and until I get those done, I really can't do much of anything else. So I thought I'd also take the time to test the motor to see how that's operating.
So I'm setting up to do a few heavy cuts with the saw just to test out the arbor and let's see how the motor's performing. All right, I'm going to be cutting through this maple 2x4, and it's 3.5 inches wide. I've set up this temporary fence 1 1/8 inches from the blade, and I've set my saw height, my blade height, to about 1 7/8. I want to cut halfway through this 2x4, flip it, and cut through the other half.
Okay, I'm stalling, I can see that. I'm not entirely certain if the belt is slipping or if the motor is actually stalling. So I'm going to try to relocate the saw and get some better power. Okay, I moved the saw, I've got it plugged into an outlet that's closer to the panel, so hopefully that makes a difference.
Okay, well, it could cut it, but not very efficiently. I don't know if the motor is a little bit weak or if the power I'm getting is still a little bit low. It shouldn't be because I'm coming straight from a 10-foot run from the sub panel, so I should be getting lots of, well, at least 120 volt power there. My next step is to take this motor off and put another motor on. And that would be this one here. This is a 1.5 horsepower pump motor, and the problem I got with this is it doesn't have a bracket, a mounting bracket, so I'm going to have to make something up. So in terms of size, they're very similar. They're pretty much the same length. The pump motor is about 1/2 inch bigger in diameter than the original motor there. Even though they're both rated at 1.5 horsepower, the pump motor draws 19 amps. You can see that there. Whereas the saw motor draws 12.8. I don't know if you can pick that up. So that tells me that even though they're rated the same, this one actually has more power. It's producing more power. Okay, I've taken the pulley off the other motor, and before I can put it on this shaft, I need to get some of this rust off of here. Otherwise it won't slip on very easily. So I'm just going to use a file to file that off. Okay, I've got the pulley on. This shaft doesn't have a keyway in it like the other one does, and I can't put this key in yet. I'm going to see if this motor is more suitable first, and then I can cut a keyway in the shaft. the way the original motor mounts on the saw is with this bracket that's on the bottom. That's bolted onto a mounting bracket that's welded onto the case of the motor. Now, my pump motor here doesn't have that bracket, so I've got to come up with some way of mounting this onto the saw. Okay, to make the bracket, I want to do something fairly simple. So what I've done is I've measured from the shaft on the motor to this pivot point here, and it's about 5 inches. I then took a piece of scrap plywood, this is just 1/2 inch plywood, and I laid out those centers. That's the shaft here and the pivot point here. I used my compass to draw a 6 1/4 inch circle here that I'm going to cut out, and the same over here. I need 2 of these, and this is going to be a 1/2 inch hole that will fit on the pins on the pivot point. Okay, so here it is finished and put on. It just slips on over the motor like that. The back is open like this to clear the connection here. After it's put on the saw, I'm just going to put a clamp on here to squeeze it on tight. This is just a temporary mock-up type thing, just to check the motor. And when I decide to put the motor on there permanently, I'll use this as a basis for the design of that bracket, but I'll make it with better material. Okay, so that's it. It's on. The belt is lined up fairly well. I've got the clamps on the back there, squeezing the motor in tight. That should work fine. It uses the existing pins that hold the old bracket on, so it should be okay. Okay, so I haven't changed anything about the setup. I've got another piece of maple 2x4 here. There's the old one here. And I've got the motor plugged into a short extension cord. Hopefully there's not too much of a voltage drop through that. So I'm just going to plug it in and start cutting. Okay, well, a lot more power. It didn't even come close to stalling. Now, I didn't push it too hard because, to be honest, I'm afraid of tripping the breaker. Now, in the final build, this motor will be connected to 240, so that'll be half the current draw, and there won't be any chance of it bogging down. So that's good news. I had some reservations about using this motor because, you know, it's a pump motor. Now, one problem that there may be is that the main bearing on the motor shaft, on the pulley end of the motor shaft, may not be rated for a side load like that. So what I may do is add a bearing to it, a bigger high-speed bearing to it, to beef up the capability there. Another thing I'd like to do is to make this mounting a little bit more permanent. I don't really need to take this motor off like you would with a contractor saw. A contractor saw, to transport it, you really want it as light as possible. That would mean taking the motor off and transporting that separately from the saw. So I'm going to come up with a different, stronger mounting situation there. It'll still be out the back here, but I may beef it up to 2 pulleys, a double pulley, and 2 belts. I'll see. Okay, so that's it. More to come soon.